Hey everyone, so yeah, we are doing another Meet the Rescues video. This time we're going to be talking about Brody and why. We're going to give you a little bit of Brody's backstory and history and how he came about to be part of our family. A friend of ours owns his own business. For those of you that don't know, we used to live in Pennsylvania. So Brody's story started in Pennsylvania. And we used to live in a suburb outside of Philadelphia, about 20 minutes or so outside of Philadelphia. So a friend of ours owned a business that he would make deliveries out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is also considered or called the Amish country. A lot of farms, a lot of old Pennsylvania Dutch-style cities. And so they were making a delivery out to a farm in Lancaster. And while they were out there, they were asked if they would like a kitten, and they declined. They didn't want a kitten. So they made their delivery and headed back to the office, which was about an hour and a half away. And when they got back to the office, pulled the truck into the warehouse, opened up the back of the truck to clean it out, and there was, at the time, a little kitten, which was Brody. So they decided to keep him at the office as an office cat. So Brody lived at the office for a few months. They then decided they were going to be moving their location, moving the office to another location, and they were not able to take Brody with them, whose name was not Brody at the time. We'll get there. We'll explain that. So, they asked us if we wanted to come and meet Brody and see if we might be interested in giving him a home. So we went to the office to go meet Brody, who was 7 months old at the time. We got there and he did everything he could to get our attention. He was rubbing up against us, jumping up in our lap, and he was a very affectionate, very lovable kitten, and to this day he still is. So we decided to adopt Brody and give him a better home other than living in an office, and we weren't sure what would happen to him if we didn't take him. So we adopted Brody, which was in February of 2009. When we adopted him, the people who had him at the time, their last name was Katz. So Brody's name that was on his vet papers that they had was Katz. So we had to change it. And they just gave him a generic name because they weren't sure if they were going to keep him and what was going to happen. So they didn't want to really name him. So they had to give a name at the vet, so it was Katz. So Brody got his name from us because those of you that have seen some of our other videos and pictures online, we are hockey fans, and there's a certain team that we are fans of. So at that time, one of our favorite players we named Brody after. I'm not going to get into the details of who it was, but okay. So Brody's birthday is July 6th, 2008. So he's currently 9 years old. He'll be 10 this coming July. His personality is a little hard to explain, but we'll try to do the best we can. Brody is the dominant cat in the house, without a doubt. He definitely rules the other cats. Look at that look. He will put the other cats in their place if they're, getting out of hand or getting on his nerves. He'll actually do it to the dogs too. If he doesn't like something, he'll let you know ahead of time. Whether it's one of the cats or one of the dogs or a person, if he doesn't want to be bothered at the time, he'll give you a warning, a verbal warning. It actually almost sounds like he's saying no. And if he continues, or you continue to annoy him, he'll smack you. He gives you a warning first, and then he'll let you know that he doesn't want to be bothered. Sometimes he walks around the house, what we call talking. He just, not just a normal meow, it's, a specific type of meow that he does, where different noises, and, like I said, we call it that he's just walking around the house talking. He's very affectionate, loves giving kisses and cuddling. He'll even sleep in bed with us sometimes. Even when the dogs are in the room, he doesn't care. He'll still come into bed. A little bit of Brody's background. In May of 2014, we have a screened-in patio off of our kitchen in the backyard that, we don't let the cats outside to roam freely, but we'll let them out on the patio, the screened-in patio at times, to get some fresh air and so forth. So, back in May of 2014, he was out on the screened-in porch, and he was chasing a lizard, and the lizard was actually, I think it was on the outside of the screen, but it was running up the screen, and he decided he was going to try to chase it up the screen, and he was clawing up the screen, and when he went to go get down, we're not quite sure if he, lost his footing off the screen or just jumped down, but there was a ceramic planter that he landed on and broke it, and we didn't notice immediately, but we noticed shortly after that he ended up basically cutting his butt cheek. So we had to take him to the vet to get checked. He wasn't bleeding. It was a clean cut. He wasn't bleeding. He didn't seem to be in pain, but we saw him cleaning the area, and that's why we, when we noticed it, we took him to the vet to get him checked. So the vet suggested a couple things. One, we can either just take him home, and we could take care of his open wound, prevent him from licking it, keep it clean, and just let it heal on its own, or the vet could stitch it up. So we decided we were going to let the vet stitch it up. We thought it would be safer, better way to go. So when the vet started to do the procedure, he went to go to do the procedure. They had to, put Brody under. It's a good thing we actually had that procedure done, because once he went to go stitch it up, he actually found a puncture that was inside the wound that he had to stitch up. So it would have healed, he said, but we feel and he felt it was better that he stitched it up at the time. So after the procedure was done, again, the vet told us he didn't realize how bad it was until he put him under and he found that other wound. So Brody had stitches on the inside and the outside of the wound. Needless to say, he wasn't very happy when he came home because he had to wear the cone of shame for a while. So he went back to the vet a couple of weeks later to get the stitches out. He wasn't happy with that procedure either. He was giving his warnings, his verbal warnings that we talked about, but of course he had to have his stitches taken out. But he was happy he didn't have to wear the cone any longer after that. So that's, Brody's story about how we adopted him, how he got to that point, and, a little bit about what's happened since we've had him. That was the only major thing. Well, actually, that's not the only other thing that happened. We did have, I think after that procedure, I want to say it was 2015-ish, his kidney enzymes came back high, right? Liver enzymes came back high during one of his pet visits. So we actually had to put him on some medication for a short while, change his diet a little bit, and had his blood work done again. I think it was about 2 months later. He had to have blood work done again, and his levels came back down. So since then, and we've mentioned it before, they each go for 6-month checkups. So he gets blood work done to check, make sure everything's been okay. So he hasn't had any issues with his liver since then. So they're not sure if it was just, something at the time. Maybe it had something to do with the food he was on at the time. But since then, there haven't been any issues. So we've been good. So, as you can see, he's kind of laid back. He pretty much does his own thing. Alright, so that's Brody's story. And that's how Brody came to be part of our Clouder and part of our family. So, if you like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Click the bell to get notifications of any new videos. And remember, adopt, don't shop. Support your local rescues. Spay and neuter your pets. And always think positive. Right, buddy? Good boy. Alright, till next time.